In the stark, unyielding expanse of the Wilderness of Zin, the Israelites faced a crisis that would test their faith and resilience like never before. The air was thick with the stench of death and the whispers of rebellion, and it seemed as if the very earth itself conspired to strip them of their hope. It was here, in this desolate place, that the life of Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron, came to an end. Her death, though brief in the biblical narrative, cast a long shadow over the community. The loss of such a pivotal figure, who had stood by her brothers through trials and triumphs, was a stark reminder of the passage of time and the fragility of human life. The Israelites, now in the 40th year of their wandering, were a people on the brink. They had endured years of hardship, from the plagues in Egypt to the miracles in the wilderness, and yet their faith was waning. The death of Miriam was a turning point, a moment that forced them to confront their mortality and the looming threat of their own end. It was as if the wilderness itself had become a vast, open grave, and the people were its unwilling occupants. In the face of this crisis, the community found itself without water. The wells had run dry, and the land offered no respite. The people, desperate and afraid, turned their anger and frustration towards Moses and Aaron. They accused their leaders of leading them to their deaths, of bringing them from the relative comfort of Egypt into a barren wasteland. The words they spoke were not just a cry for water, but a cry for purpose, a plea for meaning in the face of seemingly endless suffering. Moses and Aaron, overwhelmed by the weight of their responsibility, sought solace and guidance from God. They retreated to the tent of meeting, a place of sanctuary amidst the chaos, and fell on their faces in prayer. It was in this moment of profound vulnerability that the glory of God appeared to them, a reminder that even in the darkest times, divine presence remained. God instructed Moses to take the staff, a symbol of his authority, and to speak to the rock, promising that water would flow from it to quench the thirst of the people. Moses, however, faltered. Instead of speaking to the rock as he was commanded, he struck it in anger, not once but twice. The water gushed forth, but the act was not one of faith and trust, but of frustration and rebellion. God, observing this moment, saw not just the failure of a leader, but the larger spiritual crisis of a people who had lost their way. Moses and Aaron, who had been chosen to lead, had failed to sanctify God in the eyes of the community. Their actions, though they provided immediate relief, sowed the seeds of doubt and further division. The incident at the waters of Meribah was a pivotal moment in the journey of the Israelites. It was a turning point that defined the relationship between the people and their leaders, and between the leaders and God. Moses and Aaron, once pillars of faith and hope, were now marked by their failure. They would not enter the promised land, a punishment that was not just a personal consequence, but a symbol of the larger consequences of rebellion and lack of trust. The story of the waters of Meribah is not just a tale of a failed miracle, but a deep exploration of the human condition. It speaks to the struggle between faith and doubt, between obedience and rebellion, and the constant search for meaning in a world that often seems indifferent to human suffering. The Israelites, like all of us, faced moments of crisis that tested their most deeply held beliefs. In those moments, they had to choose whether to trust in a higher power or to give in to their fears and doubts. The journey through the wilderness was a physical and spiritual trial, a purification process that stripped away the illusions of the past and prepared the people for a new beginning. The death of Miriam, the lack of water, and the rebellion of the people were all part of this process. They were moments of breaking down, but also moments of potential transformation. In the midst of their suffering, the Israelites had the opportunity to rediscover their faith and their purpose. As the story unfolds, the Israelites continued their journey, facing new challenges and new tests. They encountered the Edomites, a people who refused to let them pass through their land, further testing the resolve and patience of the community. The refusal of Edom to provide assistance was a harsh reminder that the journey to the Promised Land would not be easy, that they would face opposition and resistance from those who did not share their vision. The death of Aaron, the high priest, marked the final chapter in the story of the Wilderness of Zin. As he was gathered to his kin on Mount Hor, the mantle of leadership passed to his son Eleazar. The transition of power was a symbolic act, a passing of the torch from one generation to the next. It was a reminder that even in the midst of loss and change, there is continuity and hope. The Israelites mourned Aaron for 30 days, a period of collective grief and reflection. It was a time to come to terms with the loss of a leader who had been with them from the beginning, and to prepare for the next phase of their journey. The death of Aaron, like the death of Miriam, was a turning point that forced the community to look forward, to prepare for the challenges that lay ahead. In the end, the story of the Wilderness of Zin is a story of transformation. It is a story of a people who, through their struggles and failures, came to understand the depth of their faith and the importance of trust in God. It is a story of leadership and responsibility, of the consequences of rebellion and the power of redemption. The journey through the wilderness was not just a physical journey, but a spiritual one. A journey that prepared the Israelites for the Promised Land. The wilderness, with all its challenges and trials, was a crucible that forged a new identity for the Israelites. It was a place where they learned to trust in a higher power, to find meaning in the midst of suffering, and to persevere in the face of adversity. The lessons they learned in the wilderness are timeless, a testament to the enduring human spirit and the power of faith to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. In the end, the journey through the wilderness was not a journey to a place, but a journey to a new way of being. The Israelites emerged from the wilderness transformed, ready to enter the Promised Land, not just as a people who had survived, but as a people who had been shaped by their experiences into a community of faith and hope. The story of the Wilderness of Zin is a reminder that even in the most desperate times, there is always hope. It is a call to trust in the unseen, to persevere in the face of adversity, and to find meaning in the midst of chaos. The journey may be long and difficult, but the destination is worth it. The wilderness is not the end but the beginning, a place of transformation and growth. In the end, it is not the destination that matters but the journey itself. for it is in the journey that we find our true selves and our true purpose. In the wilderness, the Israelites found their faith. In the wilderness, they found their strength. In the wilderness, they found their way.